Well, what is happening, Bond fans? Welcome back to the channel. I am DL. This is another edition of my podcast, and we are continuing on in the James Bond 007 franchise. For those of you who are new, we are talking about every James Bond film, including No Time to Die, which was already in theaters. It probably will be on digital and Blu-ray really soon.
It
In a matter,
already is.
it already is. Wait, what? Oh gosh. Sorry guys. We're gonna try and get through these as fast as we can. But but anyway, yeah, we're continuing on talking about all the Bond films. We've talked about all the films from Doctor No, all the Sean Connery movies, all the Roger Moore films, the George Lazenby movie, the Timothy Dalton movies, and we talked about the first two Brosnan films, GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies. If you guys haven't checked any of those out, I'll leave a link in the description to the playlist called James Bond 007. But today we will be talking about the third Brosnan film, The World Is Not Enough. And joining with me today, you've already heard, it is Evan.
Yep, back for more Bond.
Okay. All right, let's get into this. So this is the 19th James Bond film. Came out in 1999. So I was 4 years old when this came out. So as I said before, if you guys have been following the Bond reviews, Brosnan is my first Bond. And he's personally my favorite. I know there's a lot of people that most of them would lean towards Connery or Craig, which I enjoy both of them too, but like I said, Brosnan I feel like is a perfect amalgamation of all the personalities of the actors that played Bond. He has a good balance of all of them. So this, The World Is Not Enough, is the first Bond film I ever saw. So this was my introduction to James Bond. And I have been hooked ever since. So going into this, it was hard for me to keep my personal bias out of it because, like I said, this is the movie that got me into Bond. And for a while, The World Is Not Enough was one of my favorite Bond films. But I will say, watching it recently, I'm starting to notice some things that weren't as great. As we said before, like, while I do love Brosnan, I felt like his films up until this point haven't really blown me away. And it's kind of a shame because Brosnan is so good. I just wish the material for his films were a lot better. And once again, it's another Brosnan film where it's like he's great, but like the writing and the structure of this film wasn't. Like, I do enjoy this film. It's good. I don't think it's bad. It's like it's an entertaining time, but I don't love it now. Watching it recently, I just felt like this time around, I don't know. This movie felt slower than the first two movies plot wise, and like, you feel like they were trying to have a more interesting story with this one, because I personally felt like in Tomorrow Never Dies, I felt like the story was very surface level. So I did feel like they were trying hard to make the characters in the story a little bit more interesting, but it's like, for some reason, it just still didn't like grab me as much as, it wanted me to. I did think Brosnan was great as always, and I did think some of the villain stuff was kind of interesting, I'll say. But I don't know. It was just another. It's fine. It's fine. But I mean, that's how I feel about The World's Not Enough. How do you feel about it, Evan?
I enjoy it. I think this is a solid Bond movie. It's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely more watchable for me than some of the older Bond movies. Mm-hmm. Really, my opinion on the movie hasn't really changed the few times that I've seen it, so.
Okay, yeah. Alright, well, let's talk about the pre-title sequence and the main titles. So, this one, I don't remember, like pre-title sequence instantly starting with Bond. Like, literally, when the gun barrel ends, like, it just opens with him, which I'm like, okay, that's cool. I don't think we had a go barrel actually lead into instantly with Bond. Anyway, so it starts with Bond going to meet this banker to retrieve money for Sir Robert King, who's a friend of M, I guess. I forget where were they at. They were in was it Switzerland? I don't know, but so she's going to meet this banker, and ends up leading to a shootout in like one of the buildings that he was in, and then he does this really cool thing, jumping out the window. Like he has this grappling hook on his belt, and then he attaches it to one of the goons he beat up, and then he jumps out the window using that goon for support. So I thought that's pretty cool. I think this is one of the longest pre-title sequences as well. I forgot to mention, because I think we're hearing behind the scenes stuff that they wanted to have the title sequence come in right after he jumps out the window, but it's like it extends a little bit more. So after he retrieves the money, he goes back to MI6, and they're analyzing the money in the lab or whatever. And then it turns out that the money was coated with some sort of fluid that has like explosion stuff on it, I guess. And then it blew up part of the MI6 building. And then right outside the lake where MI6 is, forgot to mention there was like a chick at the beginning of the movie when he was meeting with the banker. I guess they call him Cigar Girl because she offered Bond a cigar or whatever. She's waiting out on a boat, like right outside of MI6, and like he was about to kill Bond with with the sniper or whatever, and she misses. And then Bond goes and chases her, and it leads to this boat chase sequence, which I think is probably one of the most entertaining set pieces in the movie. Which start out with the best set piece in the movie, but yeah, Bond ends up getting one of the boats that Q was working on. That I guess it was a prototype; it wasn't finished yet, but he uses that boat to chase Cigar Girl on her boat. And I thought that chase sequence was really entertaining. One of the few really exciting parts of this movie. Also some pretty playful moments. Like there was one scene where they were going under a bridge, and it was about to lower, and then Bond makes the boat go underwater, and then while it's like turns into like a submarine, I guess, and then he's like fixing his tie while he's underwater. Thought that was a fun little scene. And then he takes the boat and has it drive on land. I'm like, what? I mean, that was pretty funny, but so at least that. And then the Cigar Girl takes the boat to a dome or whatever, and then she steals one of the hot air balloons to escape, and then Bond chases after her on the hot air balloon, is holding on to one of the ropes trying to climb to her, and then Bond yells to the Cigar Girl, "Tell me who sent you, I can protect you," or whatever. And then Cigar Girl's like, "Not from him," and then she blows up the hot air balloon, killing herself. And then Bond falls onto the dome and breaks his arm. He starts rolling down the dome or whatever, but he saves himself in time, but he breaks his arm. And then that leads into the main title sequence. So, like I said, one of the longest title sequences of the series up until this point. I thought it was good that they extended it, because the boat scene made it a little more exciting. Okay, now I get to the main titles. Oh, sorry, what you want?
This might not be what other people think about it, but this is actually one of my favorite pre-title sequences of the entire franchise.
Oh, really?
I love the opening action sequence. I think the boat chase is phenomenal. I love all the it just felt very intense with going from the building to the boat to the balloon. It was just like one thing after another. So you really felt, this pursuit that Bond was in after this girl. And I think we should also note Q's appearance. And this was the last appearance from Q, the original Q.
Yeah. And like I don't think they. When did he pass away?
He passed away like right when the movie premiered.
Oh jeez.
Like it was like a week before, or like a week after, or something like that. Like he died in a car accident.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, regardless of that, he was going to retire after this movie anyway, so
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
That's why they were hinting at the replacement for Q.
Yeah, John Cleese.
Yeah, John Cleese's character.
I thought he was pretty good in the movie.
Yeah.
And he ends up doing pretty well in Die Another Day. But yeah, he was the original Q. You can't ever replace the original Q. He was great.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that he was able to stay with these movies as long as he did. It just shows like how memorable he was. Which, you know, I do appreciate John Cleese, and I do forget who's the actor who's in the Craig movies.
Oh no, I don't remember his name off the top of my head right now.
Well, we'll talk about him when we get to the Craig movies, but I thought he was really good too. But, you know, can't replace the original Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about his scene later. But getting into the main title sequence. Okay. I thought the main title sequence was cool. Nice effects. It did feel similar to Tomorrow Never Dies, though, visually. I mean, instead of digital stuff, it's oil and factory imagery, because there's a bunch of pipeline stuff in this movie. But yeah, the sequence was cool itself. The song, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's better than the Tomorrow Never Dies theme, but it's another one of those songs where it's trying too hard to be alternative, like edgy female singing voice, being like, the word is not enough. I'm like, oh my god.
It was the 90s.
Sure is.
Got some weird techno stuff in there. I mean,
this kid. I'm like, oh Jesus.
I mean, I like the instrumental.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, her voice is a little obnoxious.
Yeah. What's her name?
She doesn't sound bad, but yeah, it is a little weird how she stretches some of the words out.
Right. I mean, because there are some good parts of the song where she's singing really well. Like when she's doing the choruses, doing the verses, I'm like, okay, she sounds pretty well. But when she starts doing the hook and just being like, I was like, okay. By the way, the artist's name is Garbage.
That's right, I forgot.
I'm not kidding. That's her name, Garbage. But yeah, so it's fine. The theme is fine. Like I said, I think the best part of the song is the instrumentals, because it felt more like a Bond, like the orchestra and stuff like that. But anyway, okay. So getting into this plot. So I felt like in this one, I feel like as far as like I don't know. I personally just didn't care about the stuff with the pipeline stuff. Like, I didn't really understand, like, the significance of it was. Like, it didn't really feel like there was a threat until, like, the third act of the movie, like, end of the world or, like, high stakes. Like, the pipeline stuff, I'm just like, what?
I don't even remember what the villain's plan was.
So it ends up that like the main plan was them getting this plutonium, I think, and they were using that and putting it in a submarine and making it and having it explode, and it's gonna cause like a civil war with countries. It's another one of those things. So I'm like, I didn't feel like that was fleshed out enough. And then before that point, they were just putting so much emphasis on the pipeline and stuff like that. I'm like, why? Like,
Oh yeah, weren't they trying to like control oil or something?
they're
like
trying
that?
to control oil. Yes.
Yeah. So then, it would, the price of oil would go up, and then they would be able to get a shit ton of money from it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right. So I'm like, that's like, I don't know. It feels like a less inspired Goldfinger type of plot, I guess, because Goldfinger was trying to take control of like the gold and whatever.
And then Quantum took notes from this movie.
Jesus. Hey, talk about quantum. But anyway, what I will say is, like, I did think the stuff with Electric King, I thought was interesting. With the Bond series, we don't usually get a lot of female villains, and I thought this was a very nice change of pace. And I like that they were trying to, because I would say the first time I watched this, I didn't think she was the villain. So it did catch me off guard a little bit when she turned.
Yeah, it caught me off guard too.
Yeah, because like, I did think Electric King was like a really interesting character. And I did like the chemistry and like the scenes that she had with Bond. Like they almost had me convinced that they could be a couple. Stuff did feel rushed still. Because, it's a Bond film, they rushed into the romance stuff. But it's like, it felt like a little more organic than what we usually get. The whole thing about her, like, she's like tricking MI6 and Bond that she was like a victim of abuse from her father and Renard, who we think is the main villain in the movie. I thought, okay, that's interesting, that's cool. I will say though, it's like what I wish they fleshed out a little bit more is why Bond cared about her that much. I mean, yeah, the victim of abuse stuff, okay, that's, I know, I wish they would have just fleshed out why he cared about Elektra so much, other than, okay, the abuse stuff, like, okay, that sucks, but it's just like they didn't really talk that much about it when they first met.
Wasn't he holding her captive though?
Who?
Renaud.
Yeah. Well, they were like
Renaud.
Renaud.
Because I kept hearing them say Renard. Okay, Renard. I don't know.
Yeah, so isn't it like a case of Stockholm syndrome then?
If it's spelled Renaude, it's Renaud. That's how it's pronounced in French.
It's just like
Just saying.
it's just like Loopy and License to Kill, and it's Lupe, but they keep saying Loopy. That's Cree in the background if you can't hear him. But anyway, so yeah, I guess she was. They were like making it seem like she was being held captive by Renard. But I guess that was all like a scheme to make it seem like she's innocent and she has nothing to do with it, because they're lovers, Renard and Elektra. So I'm like, okay, that's a good little plan there you got, Elektra. But okay, so let's talk about Renard. So the setup for him to be a really interesting villain is there. Like, he gets shot in the head and then he loses all feeling, and it's, for some reason, he's still alive, and somehow it's making him physically stronger. Okay, that's a little bit of a stretch, but hey, it's a Bond movie, so we got over-the-top villains. So it's like, okay.
Well, the nerve damage does make sense, though. He can't feel pain.
Yeah.
So.
And they do say, like, the bullet will eventually kill him. It's just gonna be slow. So, okay, that's cool. But the whole thing of making him stronger, like enhanced strength, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That doesn't work like that.
That's stretching it a little bit.
But anyway, the setup for him to be an interesting villain is there. The problem is he's boring as shit.
It is so fucking boring.
Oh my god.
And it's not the actor's fault, because Robert Carlyle is, he's a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't really write him much.
Yeah, I almost forgot he was in the movie. He's not even in the movie that much. So it's like, I don't know. It's just, I mean, if you want to make it, I guess do we even consider him a henchman at this point? Like, since Elektra's really the main villain.
I mean, I kind of just consider them both main villains because he's not really low enough to be considered a henchman, in my opinion.
I guess. But yeah, I just wish that they gave him more scenes to like chew, like make him a little bit more over the top. Like they're just making him so dour and serious. I mean, okay, there was a cool visual of him like holding a really hot piece of rock. And it's like, oh, he doesn't feel it. Okay, that's a cool visual, but that's literally it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't really take advantage of the fact that he can't feel pain. And it's like even like the blows that he's taking from fights and whatever, it's like it's not even that much. And then we will get to the submarine scene. Oh my gosh. But anyway, yeah, I wish Renard was better written. And then I guess we should talk about her, the main Bond girl of this movie.
Dr. Christmas Jones,
played by Denise Richards,
who is a
nuclear physicist. So, so I know most Bond films most Bond fans have talked about how horrible she is in this movie. She stated that this is probably one of the worst performances of a Bond girl in any Bond film. Okay, here's the thing. I don't think she's horrible. She's bad. she's bad, but I don't think she's like god awful like a lot of people are saying. Like she does enough where I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like, and it's not the first time you had like really hot actresses play scientists or in a Bond film. So it's like you can't just point at this and be like, that's not realistic. Well, okay, the previous movies up to this point wasn't realistic.
Yeah, some of the bitches in the Sean Connery movies, you're gonna give a fucking pass when they're like even more useless than Jones is, but yet you're gonna shit on her. I do agree that I think she gets more crap than she really deserves, like, especially compared to some of the completely useless Bond girls of the Connery and Roger Moore age.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, she's better than most of the Bond girls in the Connery era movies. Even some of the Moore ones, like, she's better than those. Like, there's some that are just bimbos that she can't act at all.
Oh my gosh, awful, yeah. And then people probably just be like, no, but they're iconic. No. They're just stupid bitches.
they're really stupid. Hot take. Christmas Jones is better than Honey Rider.
Oh!
I said it. I fucking said it.
Oh!
What is so iconic about Honey Rider?
Oh, but she walks up out of the beach. It's out of the water. It's so iconic.
Oh my god. Underneath the mango tree. There's nothing that exciting about it.
Yeah, I don't care.
I have a hotter take when we get to Dino of the Day, but we'll get there when we get there. But and also keep in mind, when I first watched this, I didn't know who Denise Richards was. I just thought this was another actress. And the only other thing I saw her in was Undercover Brother. So I don't have a lot to like go off of to be like, oh, she's horrible. I mean, she wasn't that great in Undercover Brother either, but like I said, it's not so much to be like, oh, she's a terrible actress. Now, that being said, she's bad in this. She's bad. There's like, when she's trying to say the science jibber jabber, it just feels like she doesn't know what she's talking about. And then she's walking around in like a midriff and booty shorts in a science facility.
When you're a nuclear physicist.
Like, okay, no. Now, am I saying that she has to look like a nerd? Like, no, she can look nice. She can have some nice outfits, but like, there's.
Are you saying nerds don't look nice?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Look, there are some really attractive nerds out there. Don't get me wrong, but it just
The believability.
Yeah, the suspension of disbelief. It's hard for me in this one, but anyway, I mean, I thought she had decent scenes with Bond, I guess. Still not that much chemistry. And I'll even say like the Michelle Yeoh had more chemistry with Bond than Denise Richards, and I didn't think they had much chemistry in Tomorrow Never Dies. What I do appreciate is that Bond didn't instantly try to sleep with Jones. You know, he had some restraint with there, but for some reason he didn't have restraint with Elektra, even though he was like trying really hard to be like, no, I can't sleep with you, Elektra, I can't. And then that next scene they're sleeping together. Like, what changed? Like Lily, like when they're at the casino, or whatever, and Elektra's like, I want you to come with me back home, and she's like, he's like, no, I can't do that. And then literally the next scene they're sleeping together. What?
I feel like Bond gets hard when he hears that, like a girl has like trauma or like, like.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, like, oh, let me help you.
That's messed up, but you're not wrong. And it's like, okay, so even though I said that I felt like Bond has a good balance of all the traits from the other actors, it feels like in the later half of his movies, he's honing a little bit more of the Roger Moore era, where like he's a little bit more corny with the one-liners, and he's trying to sleep with women a little bit more than he should. I'm like,
oh my gosh, she's such a man whore.
Oh goodness, Brosnan. But yeah.
Not stand him.
Can't wait for him to be Dr. Fate in Black Adam.
Shut up. What?
Yeah, he's Dr. Fate in Black
Shut
Adam.
up. You're kidding.
I thought you knew that.
Shut up.
I'm not
Oh my god. Get out of my house.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a good Dr. Fate.
No, shut up.
Anyway.
Wait, you didn't like Pierce Brosnan and Mamma Mia?
No, that he was
No.
terrible. He was terrible. He should never sing again. Never. God. But anyway, I guess to talk about the Q scene a little bit more. So even that's another thing. He broke his arm in the beginning of the movie, but for some reason it just instantly healed. Like he doesn't, nobody acknowledges his broken arm, or when he's in battle, he doesn't acknowledge that he recently recovering from a broken arm. What was the point of that?
He's good. He's Bond. He's Bond.
Like, wait a minute. And then, what does he do to get clearance? He sleeps with the doctor.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like, oh, great. He has great endurance. Really? Really? Come on now. That's an actual line in the
Yeah.
movie. Like, okay. I mean, at least it's not as bad as the lines in Die Another Day. Oh my God. Anyway, back to World's Not Enough. But talk about the Q scene. I liked when he goes into the lab. He sees someone playing the bagpipes, and the bagpipes are a machine gun and a flamethrower. Thought that was pretty cool. And then Q introducing to the who's gonna take his role, John Cleese. I thought he was pretty funny. He brings a little bit more of a playfulness to the Q character. Which I really appreciated. Nobody really talks about John Cleese, which I like. It's a shame. Which I guess he was only in 1.5 movies, so it's like I guess don't have too much to say about it. But like I think he could have been. Would you have liked to see him in the Craig movies, or do you feel like his tone would have clashed with his films?
It might have clashed, but I really loved John Cleese as Q, so I wouldn't have minded it. If he played it a little more serious, he could just be a little more serious with Craig's Bond. But I thought he was great.
Yeah.
For the little bit of time he had.
And like Q's using Cleese to show Bond his gadgets. He has a new car, which he actually used in the movie. I really like this car. It's probably one of my favorite looking cars of the series. I mean, other than the Aston Martin, like we've seen the Aston Martin to death. And then there was the BMW that he had in GoldenEye, which he never used. And then, yeah, I didn't care about the car that he used in Tomorrow Never Dies. I mean, it was a cool sequence. I just didn't like how the car looked. But I think this is probably my favorite looking car of Brosnan's films. So it has the gadget car, and then he has this this jacket that has a giant inflatable like ball that could wrap around him. So okay, that was cool. And oh wait, is that about it? That's the only two things that he showed him.
Yeah, not really any gadgets in this movie.
Yeah.
But doesn't he use the car for like 2 seconds and it gets sliced in half?
Or just once. Yeah.
That was some bullshit. They did that car dirty.
They did. Like it wasn't even able to move because they were on the docks, so it's like couldn't really drive anywhere. But like it shot missiles and other stuff. So I don't know. But yeah, it kind of sucked that it got sliced in half with the helicopter drill thing. Which, like, okay. I mean, that was still a cool sequence, but it was like, oh, man, get that more. And then, okay, so I really liked the last scene of Q. It was like, now pay attention, 007. I've always tried to teach you two things. One, never let them see you bleed. And the second, always have an escape plan. And then he just lowers with the car under the thing. I'm like, that's a beautiful way to send him out.
Oh,
that was so good.
That's the end of Q.
Yeah, that was nice. Okay, as far as the other like action sequences, as I said, I did like the sequence in the docks with the helicopters with the giant drills. That was pretty cool, even though the car couldn't really move much. But that was a cool scene with Bond avoiding the drills and stuff like that. Okay, the one that was kind of underwhelming to me was the ski chase sequence. It felt kind of slow to me. I don't know. And it's like usually like all the ski sequences in a Bond film up to this point is actually really exciting, but this one just felt it was fine. Maybe because like the I don't know, like the guys on the what was it, like the sled things, they were going really slow. I don't know, like they were like on these parachute things, and then I don't know. They just didn't feel that threatening, I guess. But yeah, it's probably the one underwhelming ski chase sequence of the series. But like, it wasn't bad. It was just, it could have been better. And that's when he actually uses the inflatable jacket thing when I guess there was that mini avalanche and saving Elektra with the inflatable thing. So I thought that was actually a nice little moment where Elektra was freaking out and then Bond was like calming her down. So I'm like, okay, that was a nice little character moment right there. And I'm trying to think what other action sequences were there.
Well, this is an action sequence, but should we talk about them bringing back Valentin Zutovsky?
Yes, of course, Hagrid.
Yes, it was good to see him again.
Yes, it was good to see him. He wasn't as though it felt like they were letting him be a little bit more playful with his character this time, which I did kind of like, even though I did like when he was more serious in GoldenEye, but it was a nice little change of pace for his character. They let him be a little bit more playful, and he has facial hair now, which is okay. That's
and
nice.
he was like more of a ally of Bond in this movie.
Yeah, like it sucks that they killed him.
Oh gosh, yeah, what the hell?
Like, come on now. I mean, it was a badass scene where it's like, cause there was like after the helicopter drill thing, they were all they met at like a warehouse and they were coming up with a plan to stop Elektra or whatever, and then there was like a explosion that happened and we thought that he died, but then later on when they go to Elektra's hideout lair thing, he comes out with the machine gun blazing. I'm like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And then he has his cane as a gun too, and he uses that to help Bond escape from that torture device. So at least he went out like a badass, as he should. Hagrid deserved better in the Harry Potter movies. I'm just gonna say that. But yeah, that and I did kind of like the sequence in the when Renard and Bond first confronted each other underground with when we first meet Denise Richards, whatever. That was a cool little scene, I guess, shootout, whatever. And chase, I think that's about it. As far as set pieces, there's not a lot of exciting action scenes in there. As I said, the best sequence was the boat chase. There wasn't really even a lot of exotic locations in this movie. Like, all of them felt really like, I mean, because they go to like factories and I don't know, fields or whatever. I'm like, I don't know, it just didn't feel as exotic as we usually see from a Bond film. Yeah, I guess we could talk about the final scene. When Bond gets captured by Elektra and that torture device. That was actually a really good scene. Like, it had the right amount of tension, but at the same time, it was kind of arousing because Elektra was being all like, being like all seductive with him at the same time while he's being tortured on that thing that's cranking at his neck.
Like she's enjoying that shit.
He's loving torturing him. That's like some sadist shit right there. So I definitely liked that. And they were like really selling the, you know, that even though they're enemies, like you felt like they, you know, they cared for each other to an extent. So I really liked that they were trying harder to have some more emotion and development between these two. Oh, I forgot to mention M got captured as well by Elektra. After, because I guess Elektra's pipeline was being threatened by a bomb, and then Bond and Christmas was going in the pipeline to stop the bomb, whatever. And he just lets it blow. Okay. Because he was already, like, he's already suspecting that Elektra was behind everything, so, okay. But yeah, M gets captured by Elektra, and he ends up saving her. And then, okay, there was this really shocking scene when Bond's going after Elektra, and Bond has the gun pointed to Elektra, trying to stop her from telling Renard to dive in the submarine or whatever, and she's like, "You wouldn't kill me, you'd miss me." It's like, and it's like, is she really gonna shoot her point blank because he cares for her? And then Elektra's like, "Dive!" and then pow! He just shoots her point blank. I'm like, wow, that was actually kind of dark for a Bond film. That's what I
he did it, yeah.
He actually did it point blank, like didn't even hesitate. I wish they just pushed that more with Brosnan's Bond, you know, because he can do the dark, edgy stuff. But it's like they're just making him a little too playful, a little too horny, a little too light. Like, I just wish he did more of that. And Brosnan did want to go more on that darker side of Bond. I think he would have done that really well. And they definitely need to do that after Die Another Day. But, because that's the same thing what Roger Moore did after Moonraker, because people complained that was too silly and over the top. And then For Your Eyes Only came around, and he was being... He did a more serious Bond after that, so like I wish that he was able to do that with his run. But anyway, so then it leads to one of the most boring climaxes of a Bond film in the submarine. So they have Christmas go with Renard in the submarine, and then Bond goes after them, and apparently he has lungs of steel because he's able to swim as long as he can underwater without having to go up for air, even though he's under there for a long time. He's able to swim so fast and to get into the submarine all the time. He's Aquaman in this movie. But when they get into the submarine, it's just there's nothing really that exciting happening. Like, the whole time Bond is trying to stop Renard from like pushing the plutonium into the submarine to activate the radioactive explosion or whatever, and it's just some of the just most boring staging, whatever. He's just slowly pushing, like, and then
like it was taking so long.
Yep, and then Bond's like, "I'm gonna stop you," and then they go back to him like, what is this? And then it's like they're so constrained in that submarine, they can't really like get enough room to actually fight. You know, because so they felt so that whole fighting sequence was kind of restrained. And then there was that one little moment where Bond was like, "Guess what? I killed your girlfriend," and then he's like, "Liar!" liar. Like, that was bad. Like, what? I don't know. Like I said, I don't think we want to blame the actor, but it's like that delivery was just, oh my god. And then, like, Christmas got to do a whole bunch of science jibber jabber. And once again, she's talking in science, and it feels like she doesn't know what she's talking about. So she got to do this one thing while Bond is doing this other thing and stopping Renard. And I really don't know what they did. Like, it's just a bunch of science jibber jabber.
I couldn't tell you either.
But it ends with Bond, like, making the plutonium, like, boost out of the tube and, like, impaling.
That
Halfway
was so
impaling
dumb.
Renard?
That didn't make any sense. What even made it fly out of there?
The pressure of the tube that he cranked from the thing.
How did he know that was going to do that?
I don't know. Christmas Jones.
And it was like, yeah, some silly thing where it's like, did that impale him? Like, because it looked like it impaled him, but it wasn't even, like, sharp or pointed to where it could really puncture him. It just looked like if that were to happen, it would just, like, bruise you really bad and cause internal bleeding.
Yeah.
But not puncture you. So that was strange.
Depends on how fast it was going. And if it was in a pressurized container.
It just seemed a little weird. Like, it didn't seem like that would be something that would actually stab you.
I mean, that's fine if it did.
It did just seem a little silly. Like, kind of a silly way to kill off the villain.
Yeah, it's like, and also there was a more pointier end of the plutonium that could have went through him, but it was the other side. Which was kind of, I mean, it's fine. It's whatever. If the science actually works, that he can get killed by that, it's fine. But I just wish that it was directed a little bit better.
Yeah, that did just seem a little weird.
Hey guys, it's a movie.
I'm just saying that it was kind of an awkward way to kill the villain. I don't know why did they do it like that?
I know, it's like, because, like, I mean, with other deaths of Bond villains, like, you knew they were dead. Like, the brutality of the deaths and, like, the direction of their deaths, like, you knew that they died. This one, it just felt a little too ambiguous.
It was wimpy. It wasn't even that good of a death. Like, oh, look at me. Oh, I've been impaled.
Could he feel that? Like, I don't know. But anyway, I guess that's pretty much it with this movie. I mean, okay, it ends with
So the tension of that climax just sunk like the submarine did.
Boom. Good job. But so yeah, I guess it ends with M's rescued. They stop the submarine from using the plutonium radioactive bomb thing, whatever, and then
Bond gets to open his Christmas presents.
Oh yeah, they're like, it's like New Year's wherever they're at, and they're looking at the fireworks and sipping martinis or whatever, and then the silliest way to end a Bond film. Well, not the silliest, but it's silly. So MI6, Q, and everyone. John Cleese is there. They're all trying to look for where Bond and Christmas Jones is, and they have this infrared map or whatever, trying to look for them. And then they look at this building, and it's like, okay, in the infrared they see like this orange body, like, because the orange or red it picks up body heat. So they see this singular body on the bed or whatever, and it's orange, but then it turns redder. and then you see the girl under the you see another body under the body that they saw, and then M's like 007. It's like them having sex, and then John Cleese turns it off and be like, must be what did he say?
I don't remember.
Must be some sort of bug or something. I'm like, oh wow, yep, this is some Roger Moore, Sean Connery silliness. And then it cuts to them in bed, and then, oh my God, Bond says, I was wrong about you. And then Christmas is like, oh really? How so? Then he says, I thought Christmas only comes once a year.
Really?
That's what ends the movie. He's like, I thought Christmas only comes once a year. What? What? it says James Bond will return. Great. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's The World Is Not Enough. I mean, overall, I don't think it's bad. There's some parts in here that is bad, but like, I still think it's a solid entry of the Brosnan movies. I think it's a solid Bond film. I definitely don't think it deserves the hate that it gets, but I did feel like this was a step down from the previous two movies. Even though I did feel like they were trying harder with the story and the characters, trying to make it a little bit more interesting, have more interesting dynamic with Bond and the villain, like female Bond villain, which I thought was cool. I just felt like the execution it just fell flat as far as like what their scheme is and like the stakes and the intensity. I just felt like they could have done that a little bit better. The set pieces, there wasn't a lot of action in this movie, and when there was action, it wasn't as exciting as the previous two. Like the previous two actions, the previous two had really good action scenes, but like this one is like it's fine. Brosnan I thought was great as always. I thought Electra King was really interesting. Renard was an underwhelming villain. Christmas Jones, bad, but I didn't think she was awful. She served her purpose in the movie, I guess. But yeah, man, it's a shame because, like you said, this is what got me into Bond, and I do appreciate this movie, regardless of that. But like watching it now, it just didn't hold up as well a few years later. But I still think it's solid. I still think it's enjoyable to watch. But I guess I'll say The World's Not Enough I give it a low pretty good. Because I think it's better than just okay. But I definitely don't think it's great. So I guess I'll give it a low pretty good. What about you, Evan?
Yeah, I'm going to give it the same rating as you. I'd give it a low pretty good. It's a solid movie. I don't like it as much as Tomorrow Never Dies. I do like it more than GoldenEye, though. I'm not a fan of GoldenEye.
I've questioned that, though. Even though I did love GoldenEye, I feel like there was more. I got a little bit more out of GoldenEye than this. I don't know.
Personally, I'd rather watch this over GoldenEye, but yeah.
I mean, there are some stuff in here that I think they do better than GoldenEye, for sure. But yeah, I just feel like as a film, I think GoldenEye's a little bit more entertaining to watch than this. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'd give it pretty good. That's fine.
I still think, Tomorrow Never Dies is the best of the Brosnan era. Even though I didn't love that either, but as I said, I think that's probably the most coherent one of them all. But yeah, that's our thoughts on The World Is Not Enough. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Comment below and let us know. So, the next Bond film we'll be talking about is the final installment of Brosnan's era, Die Another Day. And tune in for that when it comes out. But if you guys enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. But that's all we have for you Bond fans, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.